Ladies and gentlemen, joining the Morning Hustle right now, we have Trey Baker. He's the former senior White House advisor for public engagement. He also was the national director of African American engagement on the Biden campaign, and also was a city manager in Grenada, Mississippi, the second largest water system in Mississippi. And what I think a lot of people want to know right now, Mr. Baker, is what's going on in Mississippi right now. Is this Flint 2.0?
I appreciate you letting me come on to talk today. Jackson suffers from what a lot of majority minority cities, black and brown cities across this country suffer from is, a lack of resources, a lack of statewide help in order to get their infrastructure needs done. And that's happened over the course of the last 50 years or so. And what we see happening in Jackson, Mississippi right now is the culmination of that. All of these factors coming into play and the system just giving itself out. And so some of these same water issues, some of these same healthcare concerns are those same things that we saw in Flint, Michigan. And it's happening in cities all over this country.
And now this was something that was an issue and that they knew was an issue for quite some time. Even though the Republicans actually voted against the infrastructure bill that Joe Biden apparently put together. Now we're seeing Governor Tate Reeves with a whole tank in front of his own home. So what is that saying to the people in Jackson, Mississippi, and what should we be doing about this?
That's wild, right? Is that, the bipartisan infrastructure law, which is the law that was passed by President Joe Biden and will help take lead pipe out of cities all over the country. But what I think it's saying to Jackson residents is that there isn't necessarily a combined united front on this. And that's the most important thing that we need to see is a local, state, and federal government approach to doing this. I know for a fact, I just talked to Congressman Benny Thompson, who's the representative of that district. I talked to Mayor Chokwe Lumumba last night, and they are wanting to put together an approach that brings everyone together. And so I will say that Jacksonians see their representatives out here working hard for them. But we need everybody to get on the same page so that they're doing what's best for the citizens. And that happens in two ways. It's first the immediate concern of getting the water back on, and then making sure that resources get to folks.
Don't move, man. We're chopping it up with Trey Baker, former senior White House advisor for public engagement. And coming up next, we're going to find out ways that we can help our friends and family out in Jackson, Mississippi, because everybody can use some help sometime, right? More with Trey Baker coming up next. The Morning Hustle. It's the Morning Hustle, Head Craig and L'Oreal.
That's right. For those of y'all just joining us, we have Trey Baker on the line with us, former senior White House advisor for public engagement, and was the national director of African American engagement on the Biden campaign.
If anybody from outside of Jackson, Mississippi wants to help, are there any websites, resources, places we can donate money, water, anything to help the people out?
Yeah, so there are multiple organizations who are doing work right now. I think the best thing for folks to do is follow the lead of the city of Jackson and go to the city of Jackson's website. That's jacksonms.gov. to look for updates about what's happening. They can also point you to those resources. I know Mayor Chokwe Lumumba is putting resources out through his social media accounts. Congressman Benny Thompson is putting resources out through his social media accounts. So people should just stay tuned to those City of Jackson updates and find out where the best places are to be able to go and give resources.
Now, do you think it's a coincidence that this is happening in neighborhoods that are predominantly black?
No, that's no coincidence at all. Over the course of history, we've seen systemic racism take hold in cities like Jackson, Mississippi, and especially when you look across the South. You look across the South at, red states that have these black majority major cities. So your Jacksons, your Little Rocks, your Birminghams. And there's white flight that happens out into the suburbs. And with that white flight, resources go away, a tax base goes away, and some of what's so great about these cities gets drowned out in the process. And then when federal government resources come into these states, a lot of times they get allocated in places that aren't these black centers. And so in Mississippi, we see that in two ways. One, the Metro Jackson area, but we also can't forget about the Mississippi Delta and that black belt area of the state. And so it's no coincidence at all that this is happening. I think from a federal standpoint, the president, the vice president have worked really hard to make sure that the resources are there for these types of communities. When the president was putting together the bipartisan infrastructure law, it was cities like Jackson, it was cities like Flint, it was cities like Birmingham that he had in mind when he was putting these resources together. But we have to find a way, whether it's through the Congress or otherwise, to make sure that these resources are going directly to communities that need them the most.
Understood. But Trey Baker, thank you so much for hitting us with the information. We got to get our people of Jackson, Mississippi good. If people want to follow you, where can they go?
They can go to Trey Baker, Grenada, Mississippi on Instagram to follow me, and then they can go to my firm's website, Barnes & Thornburg, and look me up.
There it is. And also, don't forget to check out jacksonms.gov so you can find out all the latest things that's going on with the water system out there and how you can help. Just because you're not there doesn't mean you don't care. One time for the one, the only Trey Baker. Thank you, brother.